Hello and welcome to Glasstire's 2023 Spring Preview. I am Brandon Zek,
I'm William Saradat.
And I'm Jessica Fuentes.
and today we're going to be counting down shows that we're very excited about across Texas for this spring. Of course, as we always say, there are a ton of shows opening. This is just a small sliver of what we're excited about because we can't fit in everything that we would recommend. Check out our event listings. There's a ton that's going to be opening, especially kind of mid and later into the spring. I feel like a lot of calendars have been shifted a little bit with COVID and with kind of reopening and getting back into a normal season. This also doesn't include gallery shows. We tend to stick to kind of larger nonprofits or museum institutions. So with that, we'll jump right into the list, and these are also in no specific order. Diverse Works' upcoming exhibition, A Gift from the Bower. This show's not happening in Houston proper. It's going to be happening in Splendora in what has been renamed, I suppose, possibly from Splendora Gardens to the Locke Searles Center for Arts and Nature at Splendora Gardens. This is a show that's been a long time coming. It's going to be co-curated by James Searles, Jack Massing, and Xandra Eden, who's Diverse Works' director. And it is a group show of outdoor sculptural works that are going to be presented kind of each in their own little alcoves throughout the property. I think it might all be Houston or generally Texas-based artists. Of course, Charmaine Locke is in there. James Searles is in there. It's their property. But I've been really excited about this. It's been a long time coming. Diverse Works has been putting a lot of work into it. And all of these artists are fairly familiar. There's Ronald L. Jones, there's Sharon Capriva, there's Lena Dibb, there's John Calloway, Rachel Gardner, Sherry Owens, Patrick Renner, Kaneem Smith. It's kind of a star-studded list of people that properly Houston, but the rest of Texas is also familiar with.
And the next pick on our list is Day Jobs, which opens at the Blanton Museum of Art in Austin. This exhibition is focused on the theme of day jobs, the jobs that artists work to maintain their practice. The exhibition statement cites unsuspected moments spurred by pragmatic choices rather than dramatic epiphanies as a means to depict the conditions of contemporary art making. This is a kind of exhibition about art and its requisites for production, the means that we kind of overlook when we're in white wall spaces or in galleries, institutions. And this show is kind of trying to rewrite history a little bit in terms of showing work that is kind of about the artistic struggle.
This is a super relevant topic that I feel like doesn't get talked about that much. It's kind of taboo for an artist to have like a day job in some circles because it means you're, using air quotes here, not being successful as an artist. So I think a show like this can really kind of do a lot to start to dismantle that, because if successful artists are in this show who have at one point had day jobs throughout their career, it's kind of an insight into, oh, this is how artists start out until they can actually sustain themselves.
Yeah, the focus of this show is definitely to historicize art in the context of art needing sustenance in order to exist. So this work is kind of about the process of making work, and it's not just the final product that you see in an exhibition or a white wall space.
Another show that's on our list for the spring is I'll Be Your Mirror at the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. It features works that are inspired by screen culture from 1969 to present day. It's curated by Allison Hurst. I'm excited to see artists like Nam June Paik and Arthur Jaffa alongside some of our Texas artists like John Pomara and Kristen Lucas.
I'm really glad that this show is taking such a broad overview, because I feel like when we think about screen culture, we really only kind of think about it in the last 20 years when phones and computers and tablets have become more ubiquitous. But like, screens have been impacting art since 1969, and since like the Portapak video camera was something that came into existence. So I'm excited to see the show that it's not specifically focused on like internet screen culture, but it's the concept of the screen just throughout the entire history. More obviously there were TVs before 69, but throughout a larger part of its history than just, the last 15, 20 years.
Right. And it's not just featuring video works as people might suspect, but it also has paintings, sculptures, digital art, and other kinds of works of art as well.
Next on our list is Hyperreal Gray Foy, which is opening at the Menil Drawing Institute in Houston. I'm very excited about this show. So it's going to be kind of celebrating some gifts from the artist's work that have made their way into the Menil collection. Gray Foy it's just really detailed, kind of scrumptious work. Like, you want to pull out a magnifying glass and look at these pieces. They're kind of made between the 1940s, the 1970s. A lot of them are fairly small scale. They're very detailed. It's the type of work on paper where you look at it and you're kind of like, how was that made? Like, I don't quite know how it got to where it was. It's a little surreal, a little hyper real. I got to preview one of these pieces that was kind of being conserved before the show, and I have to say, just from seeing that one piece alone, I am super excited for this exhibition.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Gray Foy's work previously, but seeing the listing for the exhibition, seeing some of the images included, and learning a little bit more about his life, I'm really looking forward to seeing this show.
And the next pick on our list is Amy Cutler at Ruby City. This exhibition features recent acquisitions from Amy Cutler, including the multimedia installation Fossa and a graphite drawing of the same name. Cutler is a well-known American artist. She exhibited in the 2004 iteration of the Whitney Biennial, and this exhibition celebrates reasonably recent acquisitions by Ruby City of Cutler's work. And it's a great time to get familiar with a well-known American artist while experiencing the breadth of their work.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Amy Cutler's work. I love the intricate drawings that she makes, as well as the kind of whimsical feeling and explorations of womanhood, specifically thinking about home and nature. There's some really great surrealist imagery that ties kind of her show also back to the Gray Foy show. So it's great that these will both be on view across Texas around the same time.
And I think this show also, William, correct me if I'm wrong, but this show, it's not only in Ruby City proper, but it's also going to be on view kind of across the street from Ruby City in the studio in Chris Park. So it's kind of spanning the entire campus.
Yes, that's right. And if you've been following Glasstire, you know that Ruby City is a relatively recent addition to the Texas museum scene. So it's always exciting to see how they're expanding and activating this beautiful space that they have bestowed upon the city of San Antonio. So yeah, go check it out.
Next on the list is a show from the Dallas Contemporary. It's called Ceramica Suro, a story of collaboration, production, and collecting in the contemporary arts. And it features works from the private collection of Marcela and Jose Noe Suro. Mr. Suro is the second generation owner of the ceramic studio, which is in Guadalajara, Mexico. Over the last 2 decades, the studio has worked with over 500 artists, including local Dallas artist Jeff Gibbons, to create an array of different projects.
That's right. A few years ago, the power station in Dallas actually coordinated a exchange program where artists and art figures were invited to Ceramica Suro to make use of their facilities and act as cultural figures. And so Jeff Gibbons definitely participated in that. So we have a little bit of a sister city dynamic kind of going on, and it'll be really nice to see that relationship kind of made whole when they come and exhibit the full breadth of the collection at Dallas Contemporary.
While our spring preview normally clocks in at around 6 picks, occasionally there's one that we just kind of want to throw in, maybe not quite an honorable mention because it can stand up with the rest of the shows on the list. This time we couldn't not pick the show opening at the El Paso Museum of Art in February. There is a Woman in Every Color, Black Women in Art. This is an Art Bridges show. It's going to be happening through May 14th, so there's a little bit of time to see it if you can get out to El Paso. And Jessica, you're tangentially involved in the show. You're going to be part of a program that's happening in junction with it. But why did this show kind of draw your attention?
Yeah, as somebody who's not very familiar with West Texas and El Paso specifically, I was really excited to see this show pop up on the radar for what they're exhibiting this spring. The show is organized by the Bowdoin College Museum of Art and features more than 40 works from the museum's collection. And so we're looking at representation of Black women in American art over the last 2 centuries. I'm excited to see artists like Elizabeth Catlett and Alma Thomas alongside Kara Walker and Carrie Mae Weems.
And that will do it for this year's spring preview. Like we said, there's a ton of great stuff happening. Make sure to check out our event listings. There's a ton opening in the next week or two. We'll be back next week with a normal list of a top 5 on Glasstire. And until then, we recommend you
Go
go
see
see
some
some
art.
art.